In the heart of Junkyard Treasures, a junkyard car dealership on the outskirts of Ashton, mechanic Rick was in for a surprise when he dissected an old tire. The astonishing find inside the tire revealed a secret that went beyond car wrecks. As authorities rushed to the site of the find, Rick struggled to grasp the implications, leaving the entire junkyard buzzing with anticipation and a host of unanswered questions. Rick has been answering questions from his colleagues about his bizarre find for about 15 minutes now, and in all honesty, he still did not really have any idea what he had actually found. But whatever it was, the whole tire was full of it. He wanted to inspect his find further, but after calling the police about it for advice, he was instructed to stay away until they arrived. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. They had no idea how it had ended up in the junkyard in the first place. None of the employees remember buying it or bringing it in. Rick just found it in a lineup of cars that needed to be stored, and so he decided to go through the standard procedure without asking any more questions. One of the steps in the procedure was to either remove the tires if they could still be sold on, or to puncture them to make sure that the car did not go rolling out of its place when it was hit by something. These tires were clearly on their last life, and so Rick did not hesitate but punctured them with a screwdriver. The first two tires went as normal, but for the third, something odd took place. Rick punctured the tire but felt a little bit more resistance than normal, and when he pulled his screwdriver out of the rubber, he saw that the tire only deflated a tiny bit. Confused, he stabbed it again 2 more times, but the same thing happened. This tire stayed mostly inflated with now 3 holes in it. That was seemingly impossible, and thus Rick got curious. He took out his knife and started cutting along the outside of the tire until he had managed to make a flap big enough for him to pull back. Only then did he see that the tire was not empty at all. It was filled to the brim with something he had never seen before. He quickly took a step back, fearing that he had found something he should have never seen. Scared of the prospect of being blamed for whatever this find was, Rick decided to not take any risks and just immediately contact the police. But after only 15 minutes of waiting, there was already a car that pulled up to the junkyard. This was not a police car, however. The employees were looking out at 2 big black trucks that looked like they could cross the desert with ease. These people were clearly up to no good. They got out of the car holding weapons and had tattoos that Rick could quickly associate with local gangs. There was no point in hiding anymore, as he had been walking up to the cars before these people jumped out of the car, and so all he could do was put his hands up and do what they said. A couple of gang members quickly approached him and told Rick that nobody would have to be hurt. They were just here to collect a package and everything would be okay if he just helped them find it. It was the car with the filled tire. Of course it was. Rick knew that if he could stall a bit, then the police might be here in time to arrest these people. But the last thing he wanted was for him and potentially his colleagues to be caught in a firefight. Meanwhile, Rick had told the gang members that he knew exactly where the car was. He hoped that they would keep their word of not hurting anybody when he assisted them to the best of their abilities, but he also knew that there was a big problem ahead of them. Rick figured that they wanted whatever was in that tire, and these people were not going to like that it was already opened up. As the gang members laid eyes on the sliced open tire, disbelief washed over their rugged faces. "What is this?" With a gun trained on him, Rick's words stumbled out in a nervous cascade. "I found something in the tire. I called the police, not knowing what else to do," he explained, his voice barely above a whisper. Realization dawned on the gang members' faces. Cops are on their way. In mere moments, they removed the tire, their movements swift and precise. The speed of their actions was a stark reminder of their desperate need to escape. They loaded their prize with urgent swiftness into one of the trucks. As the engines roared to life, dust and gravel kicked up, marking their hasty retreat from the junkyard. Rick's heart hammered against his ribs as the cold metal of the gun pressed against his temple. "Talk," growled the gang leader, his eyes narrowing. "I was just doing my job," he stammered. "I found the tire, that's all." The gang members circled Rick like predators, their eyes unblinking. "You expect us to believe you're alone?" one sneered. Rick nodded, his throat dry. "Yes, I was working alone. Everyone else was on break." Their questions came like rapid gunfire, each more probing than the last. Rick answered each question with a careful mix of truth and innocence. The gang members huddled together, their whispers a harsh undertone to the junkyard's silence. "He's lying," one muttered. "No, maybe he's just a fool," another countered. Rick's voice was firm now, a stark contrast to his trembling hands. "I'm just a mechanic. I don't know anything about your business." The gang leader eyed him, searching for any hint of deceit. As the sun began its descent, the police quietly initiated their pursuit. Informed by Rick's colleagues, they followed the trail of the gang's vehicles, blending seamlessly with the evening traffic. The chase continued under the cloak of twilight. The police, experts in stealth, kept their distance, ensuring their presence remained unknown. The gang's vehicles veered off the main road, kicking up clouds of dust as they navigated the rough terrain. Unseen by them, the police followed at a safe distance. The convoy finally came to a halt at a desolate safe house, hidden within the desert's embrace. The gang seemed unaware that their journey had been shadowed as they quickly ushered Rick inside. Inside the safe house, Rick's situation grew more dire. His hands were bound and he was pushed into a dimly lit room. The police, shadows in the desert landscape, positioned themselves around the safe house. Through the long night, gang members took turns patrolling while the police kept their watch. As dawn approached, tension filled the air. Inside, the gang argued about Rick's fate. "We can't let him go," one said. "But killing him brings more heat," another countered. Their leader slammed the table, declaring, "We'll decide in the morning." At first light, Rick, bound and unguarded, seized his chance to escape. Twisting against the ropes, he freed himself after a grueling effort. Silently, he overpowered a guard and slipped into the desert. Running without looking back, Rick stumbled upon a police contingent preparing to raid the safe house. Revealing his identity, Rick provided the officers with crucial details. The raid was swift and decisive. Gang members, caught off guard, were subdued as the police stormed the building. Amid the chaos, the police found the tire filled with illegal contraband, a key breakthrough in their investigation. After the raid, Rick's debriefing offered invaluable insights into the gang's operations. Armed with this information and evidence from the safe house, the police traced the gang's network, exposing the breadth of their enterprise. The junkyard, a central hub for contraband transfer, was revealed as a linchpin in the operation. In the following weeks, the gang members and their collaborator faced the full weight of justice. Courtrooms saw the end of their criminal reign, as one by one they were convicted for their crimes. The sentences handed down served as a testament to the severity of their actions and the tireless efforts of the law enforcement agencies involved. The local community, once living under the shadow of the gang's influence, breathed a collective sigh of relief. News of the convictions spread, bringing a sense of closure and safety that had been long absent. The community began to heal, its residents now free from the fear and uncertainty that had once loomed over their daily lives. The junkyard, now free from its unwitting involvement in crime, started a new chapter. Under new management and with a renewed sense of purpose, it returned to being a place of honest work and trade. Rick, too, found a new beginning, his experiences at the junkyard leaving him with a deeper appreciation for life's unpredictability and the resilience of the human spirit. After everything he had endured, Rick returned home, seeking to rebuild a sense of normalcy in his life. The experience left an indelible mark on him, but it also gave him a deeper appreciation for life and freedom. He became more aware of his resilience and ability to survive even the toughest situations. Meanwhile, the surrounding town underwent a significant transformation, regaining its sense of safety after the gang's network was dismantled. As for Rick, he found the strength to move forward, leaving behind a chapter of fear and turmoil to embrace a new beginning filled with hope, knowing that every ending is a doorway to new opportunities.